Welcome to Door Insider, where we take a deep dive into the mindset, the why, and the how of the industry's top entrepreneurs, leaders, recruiters, and salespeople. We are the Door Nation. Here is your host, Lee Barber. Let's go.
All right, gang. Welcome to Door Insider Season 4. For Season 4, Episode 1, we're coming out of the box hot with Troy Dinbokowitz. Troy started in alarms where he spent 12 years, and he had about 4,800 alarms under his belt in that tenure. Currently, Troy is sitting at 15 megawatts of installed solar for Sun Solar Solutions, where he is the Vice President of Sales. So, Troy, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thank you for having me.
You know, you popped up on my radar, and we were just talking about that on a podcast that I listened to from Mikey Lucas, Road to the Golden Door, and I was just sitting there listening going, where did this guy come from? And then I'm like, this is MOD's partner, like in business. Like, you guys have been working for a long time, so it's cool to have you on the show, and I'm really excited for people to kind of get to know you, just because you're such a powerhouse, man. So
No, thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about, I kind of walk people through a little bit of somebody's like history growing up, what got them into doors. So you started in door to door, was it 23 years ago?
Yeah, 99.
So what was, what led you into doors? What was kind of like childhood, teenage, what got you there?
Well, no, I just struggle, looking for an opportunity, really, just not being able to take care of my family. I have 6 kids. At the time, I had 4. I couldn't make ends meet, and I was working 12 hours a day, and it was just a very, very difficult grind, 70 hours a week, fighting for shelf space for Tony's Red Baron Pizza.
Yeah.
And somebody showed me how to knock on a door. One day, a friend of mine called me out of the blue, said, hey, we can sell these alarms. We can give them away for free. They're going to pay you $200 every time you do it. And then there's a bonus at the end of the month if you give away enough of them. And I'm like, show me. I think my training was watching him knock one street, like 12 doors. And then he said, go across the street, do the same thing I just did. And that was the beginning.
What alarm company did you start with back then?
It was First Protection. It was out of Scottsdale, and it was an ADT authorized dealer. It was owned by Dave Fersman.
You were in the over 400 alarms a year. Did you just come into the industry? Listen, I was with Luke Toon last night, the CSO of Legacy, and he, I was like, what were you doing, 400? He's like, yeah, I was in the 500s. And, Benning was in the 400s. You were in the 400 pluses. Like, there's a very slim pack of guys in alarms that were doing the 400 plus years, having those big years like that. Knocking alarms myself, I was in alarms 2 years, I did 213, and I know 300 guys, and when I see what a 300 guy does, and I also see what 400 guys do. So I have a lot of respect for that type of volume. Coming into it, did it just start like that with you on doors, or was it learned behaviors? How was it?
No, it took a while. I would say probably 2 years, because there was a lot of guys that were in the room that were better than me. I was probably in the top 7. We had a killer crew, and we dominated. We were doing, I think this office was doing about 500 a month, right?
Yeah.
We had some killers, and that's where I really learned my skill set, because the top 3, I really stayed. I hung out with them a lot. I went out and knocked a lot of doors with them, and I was able to see how they did it, and their approach and their pitch, and and then I just took the best of each one of those guys, and I kind of became a hybrid, and that's really over 2 years of doing that, I was able to become pretty good at door knocking and closing.
I love that, man. I'm just a guy who looks for the common denominators in successful people, and some of the stuff that I was very similar to you. Some of the best guys in the Vivint office when I started back then were a guy named Jeremy Moriello and another guy named Pat Mendez. Pat's now on 90 Day Fiance, which is interesting. Love Pat. But my idea was like, who's the best? Who's the best? And that's who I want to go with. And so I trained originally with Pat. Just forever grateful for him, but I've always been attracted to the top talent, to who's doing the best. And one of the things I see a lot of folks doing when they first come into the industry is not it's like, I'm just like a heat-seeking missile. Like, who's the best? What are they doing?
Yes.
And I'll see a lot of people allowing themselves to like write excuses because other people aren't doing successful things either. As opposed to when you're following the best people, you're like, I have to be the best. I have to do what they're doing. Other people will not come to correlations or not knock on doors or not work all the other hours because so-and-so isn't either. And so it's just a tribute to you to like find the best and do what they're doing.
Yeah, I truly believe that. I preach it. Duplicate success. If you want to be the best at whatever industry you're in, if you want to be the best, find the best, seek them out, right? And really monitor and watch and study what they do, and then make it your own, right? It might not fit the way you sell. It might not fit how you think, but make it your own. And I became a hybrid of the three best.
So you spent 12 years in alarms, and you've obviously had an amazing solar career. But I'd like to kind of work through what were some of the bigger lessons that you learned in your 12 years in alarms that carried over into your solar career.
Their loyalty. So many times I want to believe the best in everybody, and I give my soul. I always want people to succeed, and I kind of want that. I want that reciprocated, right? And it's just not that way. People are different. There's just there's very few people that are loyal. So I would go out and I would train people, show them everything that I know, build a very solid sales force, only for them to go off on their own journey, which isn't a bad thing. But the problem is they would take all the sales guys too with them, and so then you're starting over from ground zero. So that happened a couple of times. I think that learning from that experience, because it's like a bad marriage, right? I mean, you confided in somebody so much, and you gave them all your talents, and you cut that learning curve for them, and you instilled the skill set, and it wasn't reciprocated, and I think that hurt the most. So those were my lessons coming into solar, that I wanted to approach that differently and try to have a better understanding of why that happened.
I love what you're saying. We had a conversation before you came in, and I think that going through these, and I go through, and I've only been in the industry I'm coming up on 8 years, but going through the lessons of like why loyalty is so important. And for me, the lessons that I had to learn was how I was going to deal and react with situations, because I've always been a very loyal person. And so I didn't find myself, I wasn't putting the people that I was loyal to in those situations. People that I thought were loyal to me were putting me in those situations. And so they were lessons and I'll be the first to admit, in my early career, I dealt with a lot of those poorly. I overreacted. I acted emotionally. I had fear of loss, anger, being upset. And it's like, for me, the lessons came with like, because it's never going to stop. It's part of the industry. You're always going to teach somebody, and whether they, and it's fine to move on. A lot of the times it's how you move on, right? And I always say, hey, if you want to go play in your own sandbox, that's fine. But don't steal all the people that I've created to go play in that sandbox with you. Yeah.
So what you just said is exactly right. So I had to learn why that was happening. So I had to approach it differently. Yeah. And I've learned to do that, because like you, I was very emotional. I was now gun shy, and I didn't want to train anybody, and I wanted to keep all my secrets to myself, and all my methods and everything I learned. I didn't want that out there. And so looking back at the success and knowing that I had to learn to let go. And then what I found out was, if I gave somebody value and I was upfront with them from the beginning and had that talk, it was a different relationship. When I told them that, I'm going to buy into you, I'm going to bring you under my wing, and I'm going to teach you, and I'm going to cut that learning curve off, and I'm going to make you really good at what you do. Yeah. And what I'm just saying is, you be upfront with me, be honest, and you buy in as much as I do, work as hard as I do, and just commit for a couple of years. Right? And I found by having those conversations early and they understand how important it is, because loyalty is everything to me. It really is. And when I surround myself with people that I can believe in, and I've always done that, right? And so if you look around me, it's people that have been with me since day one, right? And it's true. I mean, the people that stick are the guys that have been with me for 8 years, 9 years, and part of their success, they know, is from things that I taught them, but I'm learning from them. They're making me successful because they go to work every day, right? And we attack it hard, but as long as you have that mutual agreement that everybody's going to work every day and everybody's being upfront with each other, and if there is a problem, sometimes you got to look in the mirror, because a lot of times when something did go wrong and I didn't understand it, when I was able to reflect, it was my fault.
Yeah.
Right. I lost the vision, or, and I might not have been treating somebody correctly, or something I did rubbed them the wrong way, or maybe they felt that they were being left out and they weren't being included. Or sometimes you just don't empower somebody. You're not helping them grow. They're stuck in a rut and they're looking for help and they're trying to address it with you, but you're ignoring them, because it happens because we get busy, right? And so that's happened a couple of times where, you have those conversations, and you got to be able to empower people to make them better, because they want to grow too.
Yeah.
And then once I learned that, things really turned around.
Yeah. So my takeaways from that are have those conversations up front, and then be able to look in the mirror and see what's going on with your side of it. This was given to me by my buddy Kenny years ago, but it's a quote from Troy Vincent, second in command of the NFL, when he said, "Every 4 years I ask myself 3 questions. 1, do I like the people I work with? 2, do I agree with the direction of the company? 3, am I fairly compensated? If I can say yes to all 3 of these, I put my head down and work, and I don't think about it for another 4 years."
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, what you just said is so true, right? You got to love the people you're working with. You got to really like them, and you got to buy into them. What I mean by that is you got to know that when you're not looking and you're not there and you're not in the same room, that they have your best interests at heart, right? That's a true partnership, right? And then are you compensated correctly? Are you compensated fairly, right? If you're giving 150%, is everybody being compensated fairly? And then do I like the direction of the company? I mean, that's huge, because, you all got to be on the same page, and there's got to be an ultimate goal, right? What is the ultimate goal? Where are we going? How are we going to get there?
This is stuff I reflect on a lot. I have a lot of people around me in my organization, above and below me, people that I help and people that help me. And this industry is it's problem solving, and problems are going to occur. And all of the best business that I've ever done has been born of fire. I mean, in relationships as well. Like I have guys just going through a multitude of different things, and I see when I have their back and I don't quit on them, and I'm fighting as hard for them as they're fighting for themselves, and I see them win that battle, and they come to me and they're like, "Just thank you for having my back." It means the world to me. And I've been in situations where I needed somebody to have my back, and they just didn't, and they quit, and it's painful, man. And it's like, it's part of the industry, and it's part of growth, and I appreciate all the wins and losses that I've had with people, and like. But yeah, I agree with you. I think loyalty is one of the most, in our org we have a lot of loyalty, but I think it's one of the things that people respect the least. And it's one of the most important when you think about building the biggest foundation with the tallest building and growing the most with people. It's like you grow through that adversity to do great things together. So.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think loyalty is so hard to come by?
I think there's a lot of reasons. I think that people don't understand just the very nature of loyalty. And what I'll see is that they'll lack loyalty in a lot of other areas in their life. And, they think I think a lot of people are looking for the easier, softer way. I think they're looking for the red pill or the blue pill. I think that instead of, having crucial conversations with people that they work with and they say they love and that they respect about what the problem is and how to make the problem better together, they don't have the ability to do that. I think that people think that money is more important than loyalty, and they'll go shop you for a nickel or a dime. I think that people will look at people and think that the job that they're doing is easy, even though it's not. It's like, that's like a day one setter saying an advanced door knocker, it was a lay down because it looked easy, but it's not easy. They think they can do it better. And in my experience, listen, if you think you can do it better, let's talk about it. Let's do it better together. What's your idea? How can we get creative? Like, that's how my brain works. So I think that lack of loyalty comes from a whole slew of different, to me, it's a personality problem where they're lacking a principle. Like, you're lacking the true principle of loyalty because it's an action word, and it'll show up in their friendships. It'll show up in their decision-making processes. It'll show up in their business relationships. And they don't have that true north, their barometer or their needle. Their decision-making process isn't based on principles, because the principle says, if I'm loyal to you, I'm going to do what's hard in the moment. I'm going to stick with you. We're going to fight through this thing. We're going to talk about it, scream about it, yell about it, cry about it, fight our way through it. That's a principle. That's how I make my decisions based on a true north. when people don't have those principles, they're just, their barometer is just like, oh, 5 cents, oh, 10, what's this guy over here? And they're just making decisions based on whatever they feel like doing.
And I'm seeing that because I see so much talent come into this industry, and I see them eject, hit that button, and I'm trying to figure out what went wrong, or they're jumping from company to company to company. And the problem with that is you're starting over. You're setting yourself back, right? So find somewhere you want to go, find a good home, and then buy in. And a lot of people, I agree with you, they have trouble with that.
A lot of people treat the industry like it's Tinder.
Yeah.
Like they're just swiping EPCs. Like,
right. 100%.
But it's this, and I think those things show up.
That's funny. That's so true.
It's EPC Tinder. So one of the things that I have here on I want to talk about is, you're one of the most awarded sales professionals in the industry. How many installs is a Golden Door? Is it 130?
Well, they moved it. It was
100.
Now it's 130.
Yeah. So I'll tell you a story. Last year I thought it was 100, and I'm like, I had 2 reps, and they did 100. And then I sent what's his name, Sam Taggart, a text message, and he says it's 130, and I was like, son of a bitch, we got to shoot a little higher.
Yeah.
Got an email.
Well, because that stage every year is getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. How many Golden Door awards do you have?
Well, I hit it every year. So since D2D.
But sometimes more than one per year.
Oh, yeah. In 2017, I actually did 3.2 megawatts. And that was just me writing the contracts, right?
Yeah.
And then all the other years, it's been about 2. Sometimes a couple of years, I fell a little bit shy of 2 megawatts. But I've been very, very consistent.
So 3.2 megawatts. I tried to reverse engineer math on that. I think I had a pretty good idea of your market's average install. It's 400 plus. How in the hell are I mean, it's tremendous. It's amazing. Like the time and energy. Like, tell me a little bit about the process and let's scratch the Golden Door, because that's great. But achieving that many sales in a year in installs is a tremendous feat. What goes into that, man? Like time, energy, like
really, because my wife, basically, I'm a big family man, and I told my wife, listen, the ship come in, our ship is here. I know you want to go out to dinner. I know you want to go to a movie tonight. I know there's a lot of things you want to go on vacation, but that vacation is costing us about $8,000 to $10,000 a day, right? Because I did the math, and if I would have left, if I went on vacation, it was costing $10,000 a day. And I'm like, we can go on vacation later. It's a gold rush right now. I need to go to work, and just trust that I'm working. I'm not out there screwing around. I'm working. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to work, and I'm going to come back at the end of the day. And if it's real important, let me know. If it's not, let me work. And you got to have that foundation, right? You got to have that support. And my wife has been that backbone for me. She took care of things at home so that I can put those hours into the business and build. Because, you never know when that rainy day is going to come. And I have the mentality that this could be taken away from us tomorrow. Solar could be over. We don't know. Yeah. We don't know. The incentives could be gone. And do I think it's going to be gone? No, but you got to treat it like it's gone. You got to treat today like there is no tomorrow, right? Make hay while it's here. And that's always been my mentality. I have always been afraid that somebody's going to step in and pull the rug out from under me, and this gig is over. But, do I believe that? That's what keeps us going. Yeah. Take advantage of the moment.
Yeah. I love that. So in that year, obviously that was your highest grossing year. Well, not grossing, but for sales in 3.2 megawatts. I mean, what do those work days look like, man?
Yeah, I'd wake up. So you got to have a plan of attack, really. I mean, there's got to be a method so that you work efficiently. Because if you don't work efficiently, you're going to be just running around. So maximize your time, plan out your day, know what you're going to be doing the day before, right? Kind of write down a playbook. And I preach that. Take a couple of minutes, sit down. What is your goal? How are you going to get there? And what's your plan of attack, right? Don't blindly just do it and commit to it. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people put something together, but then they give it a week, 2 weeks, they don't see results, and they're gone, right? Yeah. They get scared. And I get it. And because solar pays so much, but it pays slow. We don't get paid right away. There's a 2-month delay before you get the panels on the roof and get your full pay, right? And so people are trying to take care of their families. So they got to believe in the process, and you just got to be patient and let that skill set come to life. And by you going out there and doing 8 hours a day, you know, you should be successful. So my day would be wake up, spend some time with my wife. You know, we'd go get our coffee. That's what we did every day. Go get coffee, spend that time, talk a little bit, and then I'd be off, and I would be hitting the route. I would be hitting my territories and setting, and then I would run the appointments in the afternoon and maximize my time, try to get in 2 or 3 a day, right? Yeah. But make sure that you're hitting the doors, because that's your bread and butter. You got to make sure that you're putting that time in, right? And I try to get the 30 business cards. I mean, that's been my go-to since day one. 30 business cards every day, get into 30 homes, right? Have 30 conversations. Yeah. And it's hard to do. It's hard to do because we have our bad days. The mentality's got to be right. This is a brutal job. It's brutal. It's hot out there. We're trying to make friends. People, you know, you're getting a lot of rejection, but you just got to take that with a grain of salt. You know, don't let that ruin your day. Just keep going, move forward, and then you're going to meet the best people. You got to be a people person, and I generally like people. Yeah, right? I do, and I like to help people. So I'm very good at having conversations and not being the center of them. Right? I'm interested. Everybody has a story. I mean, every time I walk in a house, I get to meet somebody, and I've met some fascinating people. Right? Sitting at the table, you don't know where somebody's been. You know, everybody's life has been an adventure, and I just love that so much. I mean, sometimes I can sit there and listen to people forever, never know where they came from. But I love the job. So you got to be a people person, get out there, and you got to be willing to put in the time. And 8, 10, 12 hours a day, you know, that's a full day. And for the first 5 years, I'd say, with Sun Solar Solutions, my partners and I, it was 12 hours every day. 12 hours.
So before we came in here, I texted Michael, MOD, and I said, what's one question you would ask Troy? And he said, make a friend, make a sale. So just exactly what you just said.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I love that.
He bought into that. You know, I've been telling Mike that since day one. That's always been my philosophy. Everybody says, how do you write so many deals? It's make a friend. When you're in the house, you know, don't think about that commission. Make a friend, talk, have a conversation with somebody. Yeah. Find out where they're from, find out what they do, you know, make them talk to you, make them open up, take that guard down, and you'll find that even if you're not the cheapest, they're buying you, right? They want to go with somebody that they like. Yeah. They want to do business with somebody that they know actually cares.
So this was an interesting for me, and I want to talk about dynamic partnerships between you and Val and Michael. You know, we have a lot of MOD fans on the show right now, and I'm a fan of you already. So I'll tell you this story about Vivint, and they call them the 7. It was the 7 VPs of Vivint. And two of my heroes in the industry my biggest hero was Casey Baugh, and then Jeff Mendez and Bodie Gardner. I did not know until later in my career that Bodie Gardner actually recruited Casey and Jeff.
Oh, wow.
And so that was a really neat thing for me to learn. Todd recruited Bodie. So we were just sitting at the table, and I'm like, we're talking, this is before the show, and I'm like, tell me about partnerships. And I'm like, and so you actually were one of the first people to train Michael in homes. And so you guys' relationship is old, and you also have an extremely competitive nature together.
Correct.
So I'd love to talk about that and you guys' so dynamic partnerships and loyalty, right? Like, yeah. Can we play together and fight together? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your dynamic partnership with Michael, how that relationship has matured, how the competitive nature, and then I'd also like to get into your dynamic partnership with Val, because I think that, you said he's the operator. I think that one of my superpowers is knowing what I don't do great and surrounding myself by the people that do. And I love these long-term relationships when I see guys like you who are just having massive success. And I like to study it, and I know the audience does too. So you and Michael, how does that relationship start? Going through, knocking, and then how does it lead into the competitive nature that you guys have?
Mike came in, Val and I started the company, and we had a third partner that was bought out early on, and Mike took that spot. Yep. And Mike already did a little bit of solar back in years before, but not knocking on doors and selling solar. So yep. We went out, got a couple of deals. We knocked on doors together. I showed him how I did it with had my clipboard, all my new homeowners, and we were going door to door and yep. making friends, got a couple of sales, and He's really good at what he does. Mike's a great.
Off he went.
Oh yeah, Mike's a great salesman, and it was a small unit. We didn't for years. For the first 3 years, we just had this group of 12 to 15 guys, and we were going out there, and they just stayed with Sun Solar Solutions. We really didn't have a lot of recruiting coming in. We had the same core for year after year after year, and the business just grew.
How long have you guys all been partners, you and Val?
March of 2015.
Got it.
Yeah, so 8 years. Mike was there since, he came pretty quick on within months. But then Mike and I have this very competitive nature, and we had to be at the top of the board. So we didn't have teams at first. We had individual sales. And it was me and him at the top every week, knocking each other off. And then as we grew, we became team leads. We both had our own teams, Team Mike, Team Troy. And then we would compete for that top spot. But it would just kill me not to beat him, and it's same vice versa. And then every now and then he would just go on and start carpet bombing and just dropping bombs, big ones. And you're trying to figure out, what's he doing? Okay, what's he doing? How's he getting it? He found out he's got a secret. What's going on? What's the sauce? He figured something out. So, and I would just start asking him, and he would not give me anything. He wouldn't. And I knew that he had secret weapons working for him, and I'm trying to figure out what they are and how effective they are. And he would do the same thing with me. And I know that he would try to figure out. I remember Val calling me and saying, Mike just called me. He doesn't know how you're on fire. He doesn't know how you're getting all these deals, and he's asking me where they're coming from. So Val was kind of like that go-to. We were trying to say, hey, what's Mike doing? What's Mike doing? Then Mike's telling him, what's Troy doing? How's he doing it? Oh, what's he doing? There's got to be a secret formula. Yeah. And we would just go back and forth, and it was that competitive nature that just over years brought in megawatts of solar, and then teaching people how we do it. Him teaching people how he does it. I'm teaching people how I do it, and we don't do it the same. What's cool is it is the opposite. We do not sell alike. I'm all about going in the house and having a conversation. I don't take anything. I don't take slides. I take nothing with me. I have an iPad so that they can sign on the dotted line. I don't bring anything. I don't do this big PowerPoint. I have a conversation with the customer. I talk to them about solar, what their needs are, and I try to make a friend. And he has a whole different approach, and he's more bringing the hammer, right? He's going to bring the hammer, and he's going to do whatever he has to do to get the sale. And so it's two different. There's one really hard approach and one soft approach. And so for somebody that was taken from both, that would be a good arsenal.
I'll bet, man. Lucky some of the guys you guys have trained. So let's talk about Val. So Val's the operator. And what I'm sure a lot of us in the audience understand, like Misty's, my wife is my operator, meaning like, I want to be really good at what I'm good at. I'm good at recruiting, training, retaining, selling, knocking. She's great. I'm great at my own pipeline management, but she's great at, helping me run the region, the division, all the things that we're doing. So from what I understand, Val's kind of that guy. He's the operationally minded guy. What has that relationship been like?
Yeah, Val pilots the ship, right?
Yeah.
Mike and I go out there, get the sales, do what we can. Val puts the processes together, and he builds the structure, and we've built a race car. Val's built a race car at Sun Solar Solutions that we're very proud of. A rep that comes in that wants to be very, very successful, that wants to do what they do best, concentrate on just selling, right? Not all the dirty work, not the follow-up with the customer, and somebody that just wants to come in, do what they do best. We've built a home for them where they can just go and run and not have to worry about babysitting that customer for 60 days till the glass hits the roof. I mean, everything's done from the proposals to project management to follow-up, right? And so he's done a great job. He's put a structure together. He's guided the ship, and that's his strength.
Yeah,
that's his strength. And he's you always want to hang out with people that are smarter than you, right? You want to hang out with people that are smarter than you, that business-minded, that are driven, and he has all those attributes. And what's good is over the years, that's been put in me, right? I really feel that he's kept me on a road to success, and and I'm thankful for that. In return, I did the best job I could, bringing in as many sales as I could, and because I want to reciprocate. You got to always have your value, right? If he's working, putting this together over here. My value is bringing as many sales as I could to feed the pipeline. And that's kind of what Mike and I, our roles were: recruit, bringing the sales, and Val sit in the pilot seat and guide us.
Let's loop this around now to loyalty. And so I'll ask, I know for a fact it's impossible that all 8 of those years have been daisies and roses. Oh. I'm sure there's been a lot of turmoil, arguments, disagreements. It's part of business, right? And loyalty is what creates opportunity, in my opinion. Like, because, okay, so just for instance, something happens 7 years ago, you get pissed off and you're out. Mm-hmm. And then where are you now? Who knows? But the thing that you three have created together over the time by sticking together and being loyal to each other is what is you are the equivalent of that loyalty. So what is the relationship and the dynamic been, and some of the ups and downs that you guys have gone through in that dynamic partnership over the last 8 years?
There's struggles. You always want to be heard, right? I was more of a guy that put his head down and just went to work every day. You know, a lot of people don't even know who I am, and that's okay, and that's always been okay with me, right? To me, what's the ultimate goal? Success, right? So I didn't need to be the face of the franchise. I understood what my role was, right? Sales, and I think that's why we've been very successful, because we all kind of knew what our role was coming in, right? And we all did it to our best ability, and we all worked very, very hard, very minimal days off. We all put in equal effort. And that's really the successful partnership. But in the end of the day, yes, did we have battles? Oh yeah. Val's very a stickler for process. He and a sales mentality is the opposite, right? We want to do things the quickest, the easiest, the simplest. Let's just get it done at all costs, right? Yeah. Let's get the sale. Get the sale.
Get it on.
Get the sale. Let's make some money.
On the roof.
Right. Yeah. But you got to do it right. And and then sometimes you can be that hindrance by, not giving in, having too much process, right? Having too many things in the way, too many hurdles to get over to be successful. Yeah. And so that was always mine. I would want to do things simpler, make it easier, and Val would want to have a process in place so that we could scale, right? And so yeah, there has been battles, many battles.
I love that, man. So it's really cool, like to get to know you, and I think, like you said, I didn't know of you. There's a lot of guys in the industry that are just badasses that I don't know about. So it's really good to get to talk to you. So in correlation, I took some notes. You ran a correlation, so everybody knows. We'll put that up on YouTube in the next couple weeks. One of the things I kept hearing you, and this goes right into my vocabulary: don't hit the ejection button. So, I guess what I want to hear like what we see is what you shared was like how many times do we see somebody who's got massive potential hit the ejection button in their first 90 days or their first 6 months. So, you've been in the industry a long time. You've seen a lot of guys hit the ejection button. I just want you to kind of hit on that. Like, what do you see, because there's a lot of people in their first year coming and listening to the podcast, or there's people in their, further in their tenure that need to talk to people in their first year. So what has it been like, watching people hit the ejection button? How do you stop people from doing it? What are the common denominators like?
Expectations. Okay. They got to come in. You got to, if you see talent and they're on your team and they're here for the money, and you got to ask them, how much money are you making? Like when I have a recruit and they're in front of me and they're coming into the industry, I ask them, why are you coming in? Why is it the money? Because it's okay if it is the money. Okay. But it's a slow pay, and you know that. Right? It doesn't happen overnight. And there's a mental toolbox that you have to develop to be successful. You have to be mentally prepared. This is a mental game. It's a numbers game, but it's a mental game.
It's a mental game.
Right. And so you need to be able to take care of your family. I find out, okay, how much money are you making currently? What's the last job you had? And to pay your bills, what is that? Let's look at it. Let's be honest. How much money do you need to make to be comfortable right now? Right? Because that's going to help me as a team lead know what they have to do, right? Where they need to go, how hard they have to work, right? And so now you can put a plan together for that person to help him succeed. By doing that, you're going to see less people hitting that ejection button. But if you come in and you recruit somebody and you say you can make $1 million a year, you can. But think of how unrealistic that is.
So unrealistic.
Right? It's so, and I keep hearing that term, oh, you're going to be a millionaire. Go sell solar, you can make millions of dollars. You can, but it doesn't happen overnight. You got to have, you got to have a plan of attack. Let's start with 100,000. Let's get you to making $100,000 in the next 6 months. And by the end of the year 2, if you do everything you're supposed to do, you should hit $250,000 a year, right? But realistic goals, right? And mini wins to get the big win. So, and that's what happens. People just come in and they're set up for failure because they heard millions of dollars, and they heard that they're going to be trained by the best, and they think that you're going to go in there and you're going to close all the deals for them, right? You got to set the right expectations. You got to, hey, listen, give it 6 months. I'll commit to you. If you commit to me, you need to give me 6 months, right? Let's look back in 6 months at where we started and where we're at, right? And what kind of effort did you put in? Okay, and then that's your new floor, right? Now you have a new ceiling. And you'll hear Michael Donald say that a lot about the new ceiling. And that's how we can keep people from hitting that eject button that you're talking about, because it's true. I mean, I've seen so much talent come in, and so many people they're gone. And I thought, wow, this guy's a diamond in the rough. So hunger, drive will smash intelligence, smarts. Somebody that has a lot of drive, somebody that's coachable, that's who I want to work with. I want to work with somebody that's fearless, right? That's not afraid of rejection, that will go in there and get the no and not care and go to the next one. And that's who I want to work with. Do I want to work with the guy that's the smoothest closer? The guy that says, hey, I can close anything. Hey, but that's great. But if you don't have an opportunity, if you don't know how to fish, you're going to starve. That's right. Yes. And so a lot of people say they want to come in here and I'm the closer. I sold cars. I'm the best closer you'll ever see. You wait. You put me in the house. You know what? You're not for me. I don't want to work with you. Yeah. You don't want to put in your time. That's right. Right? Let's watch you go knock on a door. Yeah. Let's watch you create an opportunity. How many opportunities can you create? That's right. Right? Let's make sure that you can fish, farm, seed, whatever you want to call it, right? So you don't starve, and then we'll move over to closing. Yeah. So just setting the expectations.
One of the things that, and I had a guy, Deshaun Bryan, that came in and he calls it zoo lions and African lions. And the zoo lions like, feed me a lead, feed me a lead. And the African lions just out creating opportunities. And, I'm a door knocker, and I just respect door knocking. I love the power that it gives me to know. It's another thing Deshaun said. He said, drop me off in a city and give me a polo, and I'll go. So I think it's powerful. One of the things that has, I've gone through many seasons of this. So you guys run, obviously you're a self-gen closer, but you have setters. So the setter to closer, in your experience, when does that happen? Like how do you identify when a human being, because so here's and Michael actually helped me with this. So Michael, I did Michael on the podcast a year ago or so, and he's like, well, the problem is there's 2 jobs, right? There's knocking and there's setting. And then later I thought, there's actually 3 jobs. There's knocking, setting, and pipeline management. And the problem is that, here's what I've seen is I take a guy, and I've done it both ways. I'll close 10 deals and you're going to be a closer. I'll close 30 deals and then you're going to be a closer. You have to be good at the door. You have to be good at the door. Because what happens, you come off the door and you start going into houses with guys to start training on closing, and you're not on doors as much. And so the thing that was generating the opportunity, the mechanism, the knocking doors starts to go down. So now you're not knocking as many doors because you're in houses. And then you're like, oh crap, now I was setting 6 deals a month that we're closing, but now that I'm going into deals, I'm only closing 3 because I'm not knocking as many doors. And then they start closing, and then they have to knock, and they have to close, and then they have to pipeline manage. And then sometimes you see people just spinning out, and we try and train them as much as we can. But what are the key factors that you're looking for in a human being to say, hey, you're efficient? Because to me, it's not just knocking the doors. For me, it's like, are they in correlation? Are they training? Are they reading books? Or can I trust you with a $400,000 pipeline?
Yeah. So there's a guy that I just he's new, came in, but he's very structured, and he's a little bit older. He's working with me right now, but he's very structured, and he's great at the door. He's fearless. And even my customers said that they tried to chase him away. He was so good with my wife. My wife saw another solar guy at the door, went out there, started screaming at him. She was in a bad mood. And the way he handled her, and he settled her down, and then all of a sudden he sets an appointment, and you're at my table right now. You're selling me solar.
Yeah.
And that guy, I'm going to tell you his name. His name is Janelle. But he has a great skill set. He would, find somebody. He's just making conversation at the door. And he would make a friend to make the appointment. And I know when I go into one of his appointments, it's solid. It's going to sit. But that's what he's good at. He's really good. So that's what I think we need to be able to identify what you're good at. Like you said, just about even running a business. The partners, what are you good at? What are you doing? Even so when you're running a team, it's the same thing. The closer setter model, some people are just made to set. Some people are built to set. So I have some setters that work with me that are the best. They have no interest in closing, but they make a great living setting appointments. And I think the setter closer model is the best thing out there. Why? Because it's hard to do it all. I mean, it's hard. If you have to set that appointment and now you got to go close it, and now at the same time you got to go find 3 more for tomorrow, it's a long day. It's a grind. But if you can have some good people that you trust setting appointments that aren't going to make you spin your wheels and get nowhere, right? Not just throw shit at the wall, but people that are going to set quality appointments. My guys know, don't give me shit. What I mean by that is give me quality appointments that that are going to sit, right? Nobody, it's not doing you any good. It's not doing me any good to go chase something that's not actually going to happen. So that's key. Like you said, is everybody has a job, and some people are the best closers. So I have seen people graduate from being a great setter to being a great closer, but I agree with you 100%. You're developing your skill set, knocking on that door. You're developing your rebuttals, right? You're developing communication skills. You're understanding how to handle people, how to carry a conversation, right? All those skills that we need to be successful in the house are being taught at the door. And a lot of people don't understand that.
So you were in correlation, and you were talking about, what was it, August? And you did 750 kilowatts?
Last August, my team and I sold 750 kilowatts.
So my brain, I go 750 divided.
No, 615 stuck. I'm going to be on 615
but
installed.
sold, I just want to talk about sold real quick, because I want to talk about the process of, I want you to tell the story about you and your setters in Hood, and how you were kind of mitigating. And a lot of our audience deals with how many deals was that instead of kill. And so I would say 750, and you guys have an average of 12 kilowatt systems, so it's around 62 deals in a month, which is like,
if I'm correct, it was like 55 to 57.
So maybe bigger, but holy shit, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So tell me, like, which is, I love that, right? And we have, I've seen it done. You're not the first one, but every time I've seen it done, I'm like, holy shit, that's beast mode, right? If somebody hits 25 or 30 deals in a month, they're like, that's popping.
That's impressive.
I don't know. It could be possible without setters, but probably not. So, but you were telling the story about you and your setters in Hood and the efficiency and how you guys were running through some of that. So just unpack some of that success in that month, and having 615 of 750 kilowatts stick and go install, massive, massive, massive. That's huge stick rate, low attrition rate. So you're selling good deals. What was that month like? What are you guys out there doing? The setters, you talked about a tee-up set, a closer that would go to tell that story, man.
Okay, yeah. So we had some goals. We wanted to do a megawatt summer, right? Our goal was to do a megawatt in 60 days.
Yep.
And so our tune-up was July, and we went to the setter closer model. It was kind of new to us. It was about our second month, and we said, okay, we're going to have a goal. And so I have a team lead that's underneath me that handles the setters, right? He makes sure that they're in their territories. He makes sure that they're working, they're knocking on doors. He's giving them lists, and he's out there and he's monitoring them and he's helping them. And he's making sure that they're going to work out in the field, and everybody's doing their job. So
real quick, what does a day look like for a setter? How many hours? When to when?
I would say mine are going to work pretty early. I'm kind of shocked. They're knocking on doors at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. And, when we hire them, we ask what time they're going to be available. And as long as they're efficient, I don't care when you work. All I care about is results, right? Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of, if you're going to work at 8 a.m. and you're going to be done by 3, your day's 3 and you're producing, I'm not going to argue, right? So, Yeah.
So anyway, you got your team lead out there. He's managing guys, schedules.
Yeah, he's giving them their areas.
Yeah.
He's making sure that they're in their areas. We give them all the new homeowner lists. We give them all the tools, the folders, whatever they need to have a conversation at the door. They're out there, they're setting appointments, and then I'm running them as fast as I can. So we kind of stay close together in areas, neighborhoods, zip codes, right, so that we can get from A to B quickly. I'm a guy that I'm going to fill it out pretty quickly. So efficiency is everything. Efficiency is everything. What I mean by that is nobody wants to, they know if it's a hot appointment, I'll tell them, give me notes. When you set the appointment, what do they do for a living? Why am I going into for solar? What's their pain points? During the conversation, can you give me some history? Have they had solar before? Have they not had solar before? Because that's important.
Qualifying.
Right, qualifying, right?
Yeah.
So ask these questions, and then if it's a weak appointment, tell me it's a weak appointment, right? If somebody is more dominant, if the husband, if you know it's the wife's decision, she needs to be there, right? So now when I get to the appointment, I'm quickly, they already got the panel picks when they were there, and they try to get the usage, but if they don't, so I'm making small talk, right? I'm going to have a conversation, get to know the customer. Within 20 minutes, our proposal team has that email into my box, and I'm presenting, right?
Yeah.
And then off to the next one, right? So I'm trying to line up 2 or 3 of them. If there's one that's more solid than the other one, I ask the team lead to please tell me, hey, if this one's no good, let's go to the stronger appointment, reset that one. Because you're trying to maximize your time. You're trying to maximize your schedule, because we had a goal. The goal was, I think our goal that month was 600 kilowatts. We ended up hitting 750. But if I can't go, now I'm tied up because the job's taking longer. We even had a backup. So we have a backup closer that would show up before me, make sure that the panel picks are in, make sure that the proposal is done, make contact with the customer so that we didn't show late, right? So nobody wants to be rescheduled.
Yep.
So he's there, he's making contact, he's making a friend, and he's saying Troy's on his way. And then I'll show up, he's off to the next one, right? So working as a tight-knit group, being very efficient like that, and having a proposal team in your back pocket doing all the proposals, man, we were flying, and we were selling a lot of deals. We were doing a couple a day.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes we would, believe it or not, we'd have days we didn't have one, but then we'd get 4.
Yeah.
That following day. So it was awesome. I mean, I don't think I've ever been able to accomplish that. We were in a lot of houses selling a lot of solar.
Yeah.
It was fun. But we were working, honestly, those were long days. They were 10 to 12 hour days running. I mean, I was exhausted.
Yeah.
When I got home, I was exhausted.
It's exhausting. Are you and Mike still run 2 separate teams? Is that right? Inside the organization?
Yeah, I still run a team. I tried something different last year, and I was going to a strategic partner program. I had but things kind of didn't work out, so I went back. I gave my team away. Somebody that I brought in that was having a lot of success for me. He was so good, I gave him my team, and I said, you run with it while I try this other project. And then I recreated another team, and so I'm still running a team right now. That's what I'm doing. And Mike is more doing recruiting. He's doing training.
So that's what I wanted to go in. What were the differences in what you and Mike were doing for training? But I guess just overall, like the company, here we do, and I've gone back and forth with this, man. So when I got into alarms, it was before Blackstone bought Vivint, and I've told this story on the podcast a few times, but it was just Vivint. And so, when I got hired, my recruiting meeting was, listen, we go to Correlation on Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. We knock doors from 11 to 8. And then on Saturday, we meet at a coffee shop, and we go out from 10 a.m. to 6 o'clock again. And that's 6, and that was it. And that's what I just did. And then Blackstone bought Vivint, and they sent out an email that said, you can't make people work 6 days.
Yeah.
So you can't make people work at all, right? So in my, but that's where I found the most success personally, is from those, like the foundations, the fundamentals, the correlations. And I love correlation because it's like the sharing the information, the teams there. And I've run Correlation in my offices 2 days a week. Come in Tuesday and Friday, and right now we're running Correlation 5 days a week. And we mix the trainings up between mental, emotional, and technical training, sales training, door training. We try and promote Book of the Month. These different things. We're trying to help people grow mentally and spiritually along with their sales career. But for you guys, what have you found the most success in your, in training, like methodologies of getting people to be successful?
Well, so everybody's scared. So when you come in as a setter, you know, my best setters started out as a salary. So I needed to make sure that, you know, they were going to work, and I want to be able to tell them what to do. So I'd bring them in, and I would give them a $75,000 salary to knock on doors for me.
Setter?
Yeah,
Holy
a setter.
shit.
So he's, you know, my setters, but they're on a short leash, and they know that they got to go to
I
work.
think there's people out there right now going, "Are you hiring?"
Yeah, no. I have we had them, so we would have put them on. Two of my best setters right now came into the industry, so I give them $75,000 to start while they're learning. But then the goal is to show them that, hey, you should be making $150,000 a year, right? You need to. This is what you're missing out on. Calculate all these appointments that have closed for you. You know, show them that 90 days later. Say, look, this is what you should have. You should be full commission. You don't need this net over here to catch you if you fall. You're beyond that now. You're worth more than $75,000, and you got to convince them of that. So bring them on, $75,000 salary, and
Let me ask you here. So I have a guy that just started with us, and he actually pays setters. This has been my experience, and I guess I'm asking for advice here as well. Like my experience, because you know I have entertained the idea myself, just pay them. What I've experienced more often than not is people just not going to work.
Correct.
Like I'll get them, and then I find myself micromanaging how many doors were they actually in hood. You know, because with Canvas, you can, you know, I can be sitting here with you right now and mark a door out in Pahrump, Nevada. It could happen, but as the regional, I can go in and see that you marked a lead that was 75 miles away, and then I find myself like micromanaging.
see, and you don't
humans.
want to do that.
I don't.
Yeah.
And so how do you get them to produce?
Have
when
the
you're paying them?
conversation that, listen, hey, we're on Spotify. I want you to mark out. I want you to. Here's a list. You need to go visit all these people. These are all the new homeowners in your area. You're getting $75,000 to do it. You don't. You know, I know gas prices are high. You're getting $200. You're getting a $200 gas card a week to go and hit these doors. This is your job.
Yeah.
This is your job.
$6,200 a month to be a setter.
Yeah, and but we did 750 kilowatts. So do the math.
Winner chicken
what's,
dinner.
What's the return on that investment, right?
Winner chicken dinner.
Yeah. So, but the goal is to move them, to graduate them to full commission.
Yeah.
Right. And within 90 days, they should see that. I believe in paying setters. I believe in paying good setters. I mean, they're hard to come by. But you can, I just want somebody that's hungry. I want somebody that's fearless, knocking on the door, right? That's coachable, that knows how to have a conversation. And we teach our guys, hey, get as much information as you can. When you set that appointment, put it in the comment section. So when I show up, I know a little bit about them, right? And they do a good job.
Yeah, and I vibe with that. And it's, you know, I mean, my brain is just sitting here toiling with it as you're speaking. And I'm thinking, okay, well, yeah, I got my top 20% of setters. And man, I've learned so much in this industry about people. You know, it's the Navy SEALs say the man that needs motivating isn't worth motivating, the man or the woman. And what I've seen a lot is, you know, because then I think, well, yeah, would I pay my top setters $6,000 a month to do their job? Hell yeah, because I know they do the job. But that's the top 20%. And this is, you know, the 20-80 rule, the Pareto principle. It's the other 80% that always gets me. It's like, how do you, like a lot of people, you hand them $6,000.
Yeah, but you got to have them on a short leash, and the key to that is like what you said. You can't be afraid to let them go, right? If they don't produce, there's a certain time frame that they have.
It's quick.
It's quick. Like it's within 2 weeks. Like we're going to take you out. We're going to train you. Some people are cut out for it. Some people just aren't, right? So we'll know within 2 to 3 weeks if they got it, right? And usually it's a month, because I'll be honest with you, a couple of them came in that were a little bit of a slow of a start, and they're my best now. What I mean by that is once they found that groove and that fearlessness, I could see them going out, but they're having trouble setting appointments, and now they're setting awesome appointments. Like they're saying, Troy, this is going to be a close. Troy, this one's ready to go for you. I probably could have closed it myself. Right. And so you'll know. And that's what I'm trying to say. You got to be afraid. You can't be afraid to let them go.
And so your objective is within the first 90 days to try and transition those people into self-gens.
Correct.
Yeah. You know, circling back to people overvaluing themselves, the zoo lines, man, it's like, if you can't generate revenue for yourself and for the company, if you need me to recruit you a setter, train you a setter, give you a setter deal, and what you're good for is going and sitting at a kitchen table and just closing a deal, you're fairly worthless. I mean, and not to insult anybody, but the lack of being able to knock a door and create and generate commerce from thin air, that's the superpower. That's what every company values, is that that direct guerrilla marketer that can just go, knock on a door and set a deal. That's where the money's at. It's the power.
It took me a long time to figure that out. How about you? It took me a long time to figure out where the worth is, the value is. That guy that's grinding it out in the sun, 115 degrees, knocking on doors, learning how to set an opportunity, create an opportunity. They, like you said, that closer, I can find those. Yeah. Are they hard to come by? It does take a talent.
It does.
So they do have their spot in the industry, right? There's a need.
Yeah.
You want somebody that's going to walk out with a contract.
Yeah, I don't want to dismantle it. There is a skill with a good, solid, legitimate closer that closes with ethics. Yes, it's a skill.
Yeah. But
it's limited.
Right.
You need me to produce the lead.
Right.
Be ready to get dirty. Let's just talk about it. Get in the pit, man.
Yeah. So many people are afraid to get dirty. I mean, to be successful, you're going to have to do a lot of things you don't like doing. They're going to make you uncomfortable, right? You're going to have to take rejection. A lot of people can't handle that. You're going to get it, right? You're going to have to roll up your sleeves. You're going to have to do follow-up. You have to make phone calls, and this is all a learning process, right? And that's what I mean by get dirty. I mean, some people don't like to go out of their wheelhouse. And to be successful, you're going to have to learn how to come out of that shell and do other things and become good at them.
Yeah.
And then create a habit. Once you do things enough times, it becomes easy, right? And that's what I tell people to be successful. You got to be open-minded. You got to be able to take the blinders off and get a larger skill set, right? Broaden your horizons. What was the other one you said there?
Hire someone for follow-up, and activity creates activity. And I got a few more on there.
Yeah, activity breeds activity. Stay busy, act like you're unemployed until the next sale. And that's how my mentality, and that's why I've been successful, because after every sale, do I still get emotionally and high? I do. I feel that kill, right? And it feels great. Beat yourself on the chest for about an hour, but you better get back at it. You're unemployed until the next job, right? Until the next sale. And with that mentality, you're always focused on another sale, and that's going to drive you. And that's what I'm saying. People get, there's two kinds of people in this world. One that's going to go out there and make $10,000 on one deal, right? And he's going to go on vacation and not show up for another month.
Big checks in.
Right? Big check, right? And he disappears until he needs money again. There's one. The other guy is going to say, holy shit, I just made $7,000. How do I need to figure out, how do I do this every day?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's who I want.
I have had to go through my own mechanisms of staying mentally broke. I started with multiple bank accounts. So I have one bank account, and it's my, like my B of A, and that thing has like a couple $100 in it. So I get my check, and then boom, I move it over to a different bank, and I take that bank, and I'm like, shit, I had a bank card to that. So then I put it in a different bank. And what I've found recently, and I just heard this, and I am guilty of this 100% for the first 2 years of my career. I went broke trying to look rich. I wanted, the Gucci shoes and all this trash. And then it was just a phase that I went through personally. What it said was, don't go broke trying to look rich, go broke becoming rich. And then I coupled that with, what I do to stay broke mentally now is I have a commitment to try and empty my bank accounts into investments by the end of each year, whether that's real estate, property, or whatever it is. It's like, just get that thing empty so my mind is creating that scarcity mindset where I have to go and because I've never taken my foot off the pedal, but I will if I have a big chunk of money in the bank, I'm thinking, it's all right. And I find myself in those nulls and I don't stay in them long, a week or two. And I'm like, this is BS. But going broke trying to get rich was one thing that I grasped onto. And I'm like, just dump, how much is this house? It's 150 down on it. Just put it over there. How much is that one? 250. Just move the money and stay mentally broke, so it's like a driving force.
Yeah, and that's what. And I tell people it's okay to like materialistic things, like you said. I truly believe that, because that's, I do like nice things, but I'm willing to go work for them. Right? Yeah. I'm willing to go put in all the hours. And I think that helps motivate people when they do reward themselves. Yep. Don't go crazy, but I love your philosophy about an empty bank account and starting from zero every day.
Yeah.
That's key. But I found that I'm most successful when I'm having fun. If my mind is clear and I am happy doing what I'm doing and I'm in the moment, that's when I'm excelling, right? You have to love what you do.
Balance.
You have to love what you do. Your stuff's got to be in order at home, because I'm a family guy, and my wife and my kids, and I see them every day, and that's my why, right? So as long as I have that intact and I'm enjoying myself at work, and you're going to be successful.
I love that, man. The balance. And I still like nice stuff. A lot of it for me was Richest Man in Babylon, a fool and his gold soon part. And I was just scared to invest for so long because I didn't understand how to invest. And so my money a lot of my money just sat making zero return. And, you know, recently I've started to delve into that, and it just takes what it takes to get. But I do enjoy, you know, some of the best things in my life or my family. You know, we're going to Italy this year. Last year we went to Mexico, but spending time, you know, on cruises or times with my family, and like those truly are, you know, and I like to have a nice car and some fancy stuff too, but the balance is the biggest thing. But yeah, I love that. Listen, man, it's been amazing having you on. And you're what, 15 megawatts of installed career solar?
Yes.
It's a tremendous feat, man. So you're on Instagram. Where can folks find you on Instagram?
Just Troy Dinbokowitz. Troy Dinbokowitz. Follow me, and if I can help somebody and they're successful and they take some of my nuggets that I'm putting out there, and you have some success, or if you have any questions, feel free to DM me. I'll try to get back to you quickly, and be persistent. And I do want to hear your victories. When you take something of mine and I'm able to help you through a tough spot and you win, tell me about it. It makes me feel great. It's the best feeling in the world.
I love it. Well, listen, thank you, brother, for I'm excited to see and hear more of your content. We'll put your training out on YouTube in the next couple weeks. This podcast will be out in about 2 weeks. I'm super excited that I got to know you. I appreciate so much that you took your time to come down to Vegas, train my group, spend some time on the podcast, get your message out. I think the industry has long been lacking you because you've kind of been on the DL.
Yes.
But, you know, it's an honor for everybody to kind of get to know you and see some of your methodologies and what you've done. So much gratitude for coming on today, man.
Hey, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely.